All right, poll on Venezuela. Now, keep in mind that most Americans know nothing about it. So this is Washington Post. First question. Do you approve or disapprove of the USA having sent military forces into Venezuela to capture Maduro? Approve 40, disapprove 42, unsure 18. Political party. 74% of Republicans approve, 13% of Democrats, 34% of independents. Next question. Was it appropriate for President Trump to order the operation on his own? Should he be consulted with Congress? Appropriate on his own, 37, Congress, 63. Now, that's because people don't understand. You can't do covert operations with congressional debate underway. Okay, because the media doesn't really explain it. All right, next question. Do you think the United States should or should not put Maduro on trial for drug trafficking? Should 50, should not 14, unsure 36. And that's, again, if you're unsure, that's an honest answer, and you don't know. Okay? But I can tell you without any doubt at all, Maduro will be convicted, and he will get what Noriega got. The indictment against him and his wife is fairly extensive. Why? Because they got the DEA and CIA all over Venezuela. I mean, come on. All right. Now, the Associated Press is part of the problem in the United States right now because it hates Trump. Okay? It hated me. Probably still does. All right? Because I wasn't a liberal commentator. And for years, Associated Press did nasty things about me, never said anything good, even though I was the dominant anchor man in the country. Never. So they hate Trump. And they filed a report about Venezuela. It was filed by a White House reporter for the Associated Press named Amir Madhani. Amir Madhani, January 3rd, quote, while there are no visible signs of a U.S. presence on the ground at Caracas, Trump was demonstrating chutzpah that's become a trademark of his foreign policy approach. It's one marked by grand confidence that his will on the international stage is immovable force. Now, this is in a news report, not a commentary. So if Mr. Madhani wanted to write a commentary, that's fine. No problem. But a news report with the word chutzpah and all this other business about, hey, what are you, a psychiatrist? This is what the AP does all the time. And that wire service goes out to all the newspapers all over the world. And people just read this stuff. They don't know the slant that is built into the AP's coverage of Donald Trump. Joining us now from Washington, D.C. is a former Associated Press correspondent in South America. He's been around a long time. Ken Silverstein. He now is an independent investigative reporter. So am I making any mistakes in my analysis, Mr. Silverstein, first up?
Well, on Venezuela, spot on. And I have reported from Venezuela numerous times since going back to 1990 and Colombia too. I mean, the U.S. government, the CIA, clearly cut a deal, not just with the army, but with Delcy Rodriguez, who is, going out and saying, we'll never stand for this.
Let me interrupt you for a moment. The deal with Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president under Maduro, was made after the snatch, not before.
No way.
No. Trust me on this, Kent. She had no blanking clue, because if she did, she would have blown the whistle. And she did not, because she didn't know. The deal with the army generals who control the country, as you know, they controlled it when you were there, when I was there. Okay, they got the guns. Okay, it was made before the snatch. Go ahead.
I disagree.
Okay,
because
fine.
I mean, there's no question that she doesn't have the authority to, and the deal had to be approved by the head of the army and the head of the Interior Ministry, who controls
Absolutely
the guns,
right.
as you said.
But Dulce has a cell phone and could have blown a whistle on any raid before it happened, and that's why she did not know. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So anyway, I think There was certainly a deal cut. There's no question about it. I mean, you.
So why didn't
as
the
you said-
Associated Press report that?
Well, I guess I called it. I hadn't read
You
that
know
article.
it. You know it. I know it. All the veteran reporters in the country had to know it, or you have to resign from your status of a veteran reporter. Why didn't the AP report it?
I absolutely think that mainstream media, with the exception of Fox News and Newsmax and
Right, the right wing people. Right.
the right wing, who are favorable to Trump for the most part. There's no question the media has a bias against Trump. The mainstream media, the elite media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, CBS News, AP. I mean, that's obvious. It was obvious. I wrote an article in 2016 before the election, before the presidential election, shortly before the election, which Trump won. Which I'm politically, you and I probably disagree on most things. We will agree on some stuff, but I'm on the left. But I worked for the New York Observer, which was owned by Jared Kushner, and I was hired. I was given a column because I was considered to be like an honest lefty, which I think I am, because I will go after if I get a good story, I'll go after whoever it is. And but it was obvious that the media has always treated Trump unfairly, and I have to say, I guess I'm reluctant to say why the AP didn't do anything, because I maybe somebody else wrote an article that talked about a deal.
No, they didn't. We researched it.
Okay, well,
okay,
that's
but
a pretty
here's
big
my
omission.
point. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, because the folks are not in our industry. They don't do what we do. But the Associated Press is really far and away the strongest wire service in the world. It goes out everywhere. Okay, and they cannot stop, all right, with their anti-Trump coverage. Now, they do it a number of ways. They don't report stories, as we just demonstrated. If you and I know what happened, and I believe you did too, because I know your background, all right?
It's obvious, yeah.
They obviously knew what happened, but they wouldn't report it. That, to me, is sinful. That's deception. That's hurting the American people. It's hurting the people who rely on the information coming out of the Associated Press.
It's fundamental information that you cannot understand what's happening in Venezuela or what happened with the raid to get Maduro without knowing that. If they didn't agree, if they didn't report that, if they haven't, and I trust you that you searched for it and didn't find it. I haven't, which is why I was reluctant to say too much about this one guy. But that's a terrible omission. I mean, it's
right, and the guy, the White House correspondent, concentrates on chutzpah, putting his own opinion in there.
Yeah.
And again, fine if he's a commentator, but he's a White House correspondent. What the deuce you doing? And so what I want to know from you is, because you work for these people, and it's a whole different outfit now than it was when you were there.
We have totally different.
Do they know how dishonest they are? Do you think?
I don't think they do, and I don't think probably Stengel. You said he knows he's lying. I doubt it, because and this is a question that we will never be able to answer really, unless Stengel sends an email to somebody and says I get paid to lie, because it's hard to know. But I think the elite media is, again, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the CBS, CNN, they are unbearable because they are so sure they're right. They don't do any reporting. When I was in Venezuela covering an election 20 years ago or 25 years ago, and all of the reporters that came down, all they do is they're not stupid. You're right. They're not stupid. They're the cream of the country. They're Ivy League, and they're, I'm sorry. I don't know if you went to an Ivy League school, but it makes you dumb, because it teaches you that people come out thinking that they really are smarter than everybody
No,
else.
I know it. There's an arrogance and I did go to Harvard, but
pathetic.
I got around that. I took a shot, a vaccination against it. Here's my last question for you. Okay, so if we are in a country that is dependent on a free flow of information, Ken, okay, we are dependent on it. As I said, the regular folks, they don't know Maduro. They don't know what's happening. They don't know why Trump did what he did. They hear and they're reading and they're not getting the story. I think the younger brigade of reporters aren't smart enough. They don't know what happened in Vietnam in 1964. They don't know the CIA was running South Vietnam. They don't know the CIA deposed the people over there. They don't know anything. And yet they're hired by these outfits to do important reporting. But if the American people can't get the information, isn't that going to damage our country severely pretty soon?
I mean, it already has. I think it's, the media is people with journalists. If you I write about the press because I think the press is an important, powerful institution, as powerful as Congress, as powerful as the White House. It plays an incredibly important role in shaping the narrative on every story. And but you can't call reporters; they won't talk to you because they're they're arrogant and it's already damaged the country.
Yeah, but I see much worse stuff ahead. You're right; it has damaged the country. And if you compare the Biden coverage with the Trump coverage, I mean, it's just crazy. All right, Ken, thanks very much. We appreciate your voice. Thanks for being a stand-up guy and coming on.